Good morning.
Morning. How you doing, buddy?
Quite all right.
Yeah,
Cup of coffee,
that's good.
chilling,
That's good.
bugs fixed,
Ooh,
hopefully.
I'm really excited to see this because that's something that we've been. And hold on a second, I gotta bring you in. Whoop, there he is. There he is.
Hello again.
Oh no, you don't work? Oh no.
God damn it.
No,
Oh.
that's this. Why would that
No,
not
I
be
have
the
to.
case?
Okay, just
No, it's not
put me
your
away
fault.
and then you can add me in post.
Put me back in the box. No, let me look at it in the background because I can't even tell you like how this is supposed to work. But I'll
It's
try
okay.
and
I
run with
admire you for having tried the whole VTuber thing in the first place. This is quite
Thanks.
crazy.
It's really kind of you to say. I mean, what you've created with some of the characters is also really crazy. Let me bring this song down. It's also really crazy, and we'll see that in the shorts this week. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to figure this out for the moment. So what we're
No,
going to
fuck
go
it.
ahead
It's
and
okay.
we're going to put you away. All right, so welcome everybody who may be watching this morning. There you go. Everybody that's watching this morning or later on. This is a development chat with me, Marshall, who you've been hearing from a lot, and on stream and shorts and things like that, and also from Evrim.
Hello.
And Evrim, I think today we've got a few things to talk about. So we're going to talk about Compound Interest, the strategy simulation game coming out later this year on Steam now. But also, we're going to be talking about how the demo went over the course of the last week and kind of where we're going from here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any reason why not to just jump right in, right? Let's talk about it. How'd the demo
Let's
go?
talk about it. Demo went quite all right, and I
Yeah.
think we had already a chat about this last Friday. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the the biggest thing I think that went well was that people liked it
Yeah.
as much as we did, I think.
Yeah.
Not everybody liked it equally, but the people who liked it cherished it dearly is what I felt. And that's good,
Yeah.
because that means that we're on to something. And that's
Yeah.
what we already
Yeah.
felt, which is why I'm working as a team of 2 and 3 and 4 instead of just one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Work with others.
So
Improve the
I
product that
think
you're
it
attempting to create.
definitely, yeah. I mean, it's absolutely necessary to be working with other people, and it also gave me quite a bit of energy as well to think about the future of this too as a bigger collaborative project.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it for other people. That's what games are for. That's what art
Yeah.
is for.
Yeah.
And I think it got received, and that's good.
It
That's
did.
good.
And I think this is something that um it's so important to acknowledge your genre, to acknowledge the trends of that genre, to acknowledge the things that the people who play that genre, what do they like? Because that's your audience. That's our audience. And we need to acknowledge like this is I don't want to say it's a niche game. It's not niche in this in like, oh
Yeah.
boy, you're really no one's really going to want to play this, but it's niche in the sense of like it's got interaction methods that are complicated, difficult in some ways, right? And I
Yeah,
think
you
what
gotta
we've
like
been,
computers to play this one.
I think you kind of a little bit. I think something that I've been seeing from comments from people, and thank you everybody for your comments, for your feedback, for your bug reports, everything like that. What I've been seeing is that a lot of people come to it and say like, "Oh, I really like Kenshi. This seems like it might be in that area." And I'm like, "Oh, I haven't played Kenshi. I think maybe you're right." You know, some people saying that they think of it as RimWorld, others bringing out like other crew management simulators, and then it really we find the audience, and they
Yeah,
seem to really dig it.
yeah. I'm a big RimWorld guy. I'm not a
Yeah,
you know crazy maniac about it, but I'm a big RimWorld guy. I
yeah,
really like one of the games that I've played the most, I think. And Kenshi, I also saw a bunch of playthroughs for that as well. I mean,
mm-hmm,
it's kind of YouTube poop as well at this stage. It's so popular.
mm-hmm,
Um, and yeah, there's a lot of analogs over there as well. I think perhaps in terms of world building as well, we're quite a bit aligned with what the devs there are trying to do too.
yeah.
Yeah, we should play Kenshi together.
We should
I
do
don't know
that. We
how
should
well
play
that's
that.
gonna go, but like maybe we should pre-play it a little bit and then fuck around.
Yeah,
Talk about
yeah,
what we
yeah.
like.
One of these days, we'll do another gameplay, or we'll do a gameplay stream.
We should.
So
Yeah.
I think Kenshi is a perfect one.
Yeah.
Um, was there any else that I heard of? Let me think if I saw any in the comments, and I was like, oh, I gotta try that. Mm, somebody mentioned a Mafia game, but I haven't seen it. Oh, I know from my personal experience, what I want to bring would be to play the Warriors game, just because I do
Oh
think that
yeah, I
there's,
I was reading
yeah,
about it after I watched the movie. It
yeah,
sounds so cool.
it's insane.
And also it's in another game that's kind of dear to my heart is Bully by Rockstars.
Yes, you mentioned that
Um,
before. I think that's a
did
really
I?
interesting one to talk about. A long time ago, you did.
Oh
Not on
yeah, I mean
stream.
I
Not
don't
on
think.
stream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you want to say like
Is it,
a few sentences about like what's bully and why is it like why is
Bully
that
is this
inspiration?
game where you're playing as a bully in this like semi-rural, relatively posh, I don't know, Liverpoolian almost. I think we have a lot to learn from the world building of Bully actually, in
Hmm.
fact. Because I think it's really got that British port town vibes to it. But it's expressed that world so well. It's just so well crafted by people who I would say almost lived that era very well as their youth,
Hmm.
and then they just turned it into a game. I enjoyed it a lot when I was young. Um, you play as a school bully, basically. That's the game, but there's this whole insane story building and this
Well,
hero anti-hero arc.
I can think
I
of
mean,
one
that game
thing.
is crazy.
I can think
But
of one
I
thing,
said
right?
that, sorry, I said this
Yeah.
because I said bully because those are both on the renderware engine and they look like I saw the screenshots from the Warriors. I was like, you look exactly like freaking you look
Oh,
the same because you're the same engine.
yeah, yeah.
Um, it's the recognizable PS2 aesthetic. That's chiefly the renderware. It's so cool. Anyway,
But another
yeah,
thing,
geeking out.
one of the main mechanics in bully that I think we take or that we have unknowingly kind of adopted,
Huh?
stole as I put before, is the faction's reputation.
Oh, that's true. Oh, that's why I
Yeah,
was talking to you about it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
In Bully, you have your reputation with all the cliques in the school, right? You got the
Hmm.
nerds and the jocks and the whatevers, and then like also the people from, the kids from the trashed up ex-industrial parts of town and stuff. I don't know what they're called. But you got all these factions, and they got reputations with them, and they change and get modulated based on how you sort of go around the story. I mean, it's mostly fixed, but you can do some things to modulate it. But it changes the way that they react to you, right? If you have
Hmm.
bad reputation with somebody, they just like always on the lookout for you. They always beat you up, and if they're on really good reputation with them, they give you gifts and like they can help you out and stuff. I was quite a bit of it is scripted. It's not like a gang system or whatever, but like it changes the way that you play the game and the game modulates your reputation. um Very cool. It
Yeah,
was
man.
done better than how it was done, I would say, like in say in GTA San Andreas or something like that, where all gangs are effectively hostile towards you and you don't really have a
Mm.
reputation with them, and it's kind of like a simple arcade oppress other gangs until, they break and then you're the only gang type of
Yeah.
gameplay,
Yeah.
which is not what Bully was doing at all because that's not the game that it is. But it's just done again, the reactions of people changing to you, it changing across the story so that when you're not like in a physical mission, like a story mission, and you're just walking around,
Hmm.
it's as if people like remember the things that you did and treat you accordingly.
That's what I'm
That's
talking
like
about.
the so all the parts where you're not in this railroaded story,
Hmm.
it feels like the world is responding to you, and that's so important for your immersion. It really felt like it's like such an alive game, I would say. And it's also so like it's quite tiny,
Hmm.
but it's so alive. Like it's so like rich and chunky and as nothing excess, honestly.
Hmm.
Could have been much more, but yeah, budget constraints and time constraints.
Yeah,
Ah,
there's even a moment in the game where you're kind of pushed to do an action that destroys your reputation with others. And I think there's
right.
a lot to learn from that. And the way that
Yeah,
reputation is, at the moment, reputation is something that you can really build or destroy entirely on your own. And I would love to take compound interest in the direction of others have a, influence on your reputation on others, so that
yeah.
that that
We're gonna
becomes a
have to spend
resource
a
they can
lot of
deprive
time.
you of.
We're gonna have to spend a lot of time on that because it's been a
Yeah.
system that we kind of put in place, but
Mm-hmm.
again, like just having these numbers in the table about how much they like you or dislike you, it's just again not it,
Yeah.
right? If it's
Yeah.
just like some kind of threshold for hostility, if they're below this level of warmth towards you,
Mm-hmm.
like okay, that's easy to script and it's straight enough for us to do, but that's just one out of 100 other things that you have to do to make the system feel really like it's responding to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
that we have missing, and it's going to be a big challenge for us to execute truly. I think again we have the capacity, but you're going to have to write a lot of text, buddy.
That's fine. That's fine. I can do that. I'm more interested in making in ensuring that these systems make the game feel really alive, and that
Yeah,
that all these interactions are happening in a way that does feel as if they are a little bit out of your control, right? I think
yeah,
that's going back to the point about genre, right, and about audience. This is something that I definitely saw in the reaction from in the feedback and people messaging us and things like that, is that the people who are interested in the way that this game plays, they're like, oh yeah, it's really tough and hates you, great. you know i I spent an hour
love
with my
that for
guys.
them.
I spent an hour
I'm a
with my
masochist as well. Hello.
exactly.
uh
I spent an hour beat up and on the ground. Great game.
yeah,
And
no, I
yeah.
that's one of the earliest comments that we got, I think.
Yeah, and
um
I'm on the same page. I have to agree.
yeah,
Right? I also really like that, and I think
yeah.
we'll definitely double down on that, and we'll make it.
It shouldn't feel artificial. That's another thing
No.
that not to derail it too much, but I feel like it never felt artificially difficult to me. I think the game is quite
Mm-hmm.
fair,
Mm-hmm.
but perhaps this is because we're subscribing to the everything is real principles,
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
right? That's a
Boy,
big
how
part
that
of
has
it.
hurt us.
Everybody's on the same plane, essentially. Everybody's got the same rules, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
ideally that means that because we don't do preferential treatment,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna win if you're being smarter, faster, stronger, right?
That's the idea. That's
Yeah.
the idea. Let me before we move on, right? Two things. One is that I want to again thank everybody who's played, who's provided feedback, who's joined us on Discord, who's following us on the socials that we're on. Did I tell you I opened Tumblr? I said why not? Let's put it on
Yeah.
Tumblr too. Let's do
You got a soft spot for it, is what I was thinking, but let's see if
it.
that plays out.
Shh, don't tell anyone. But I really
You just
think
have you just have to crank gifs over there,
that's true. But really, thank you.
just so that people will put them in mood boards and stuff like that. That's what the
Don't
Tumblr
give me
is.
don't give me ideas.
I'm giving you ideas so that you can do your job better.
Let me write that down. Gives. Anyway,
Gives.
um, so really, thanks everybody for playing. Thanks everybody for following along. We have a lot more to do. I do want to address that one of the things that came out during the demo playthrough and the feedback that we got is that the UI can often feel maybe a little bit confusing, right? And that some of the gameplay mechanics can feel a little bit difficult to wrap the head around. And I think I want to approach this as not a customer satisfaction, right? Because that's boring and awful. But to approach it as teaching, right? And if you're a teacher and you intend to teach someone else and that person doesn't learn, well, then you need to adjust your messaging. Right? You need to fix the way that you're approaching the conversation, what materials you're bringing, something like that, if you want to make sure that that person understands. That doesn't mean that a teacher should intend to teach everyone, right? That's just not possible. But for those who are in the target demographic, we want to make sure that the game is understandable, is readable, legible, smooth, all the rest of it for those people. And so that's what we're working on. That's like the major thing that we're working on, right? And I think what we're going to do today is take a look at how we've already begun to kind of problem solve those, right, Evrim?
Yeah, one thing about both of us, I think, is that we both have somewhat of a teaching background, or at least we
Mm-hmm.
like teaching. And I
Yeah.
think that's why we're also sort of somewhat interested in compound interest conceptually as well as a teaching tool.
Mm-hmm.
Not to go too off the rails, but one thing that we're trying to do over here is, take both the perspective as Marshall's describing into how do we onboard players and how do we make them understand what's going on. Then there's the whole, feedback loops that we have to put in place to make sure that players feel like their actions are connected to outcomes and that these outcomes are sufficiently informative, so the in-game playing experience.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I'm muted.
Uh,
No one will ever
oh.
know.
Just let out a fat burb.
No, I didn't. They'll never
You
know.
didn't. You'll cut that out. And finally, the idea that we're trying to build a certain sense of, again, connected systems
Yep.
that should hopefully be informative in terms of what to do when the apocalypse arrives.
Yeah, that's right. Get your spiked baseball bats out, ladies and gentlemen. We're hitting the streets, and it's coming right around the corner.
It's the Warriors, baby.
That's true. So let's take a look
Let's
at the game then, huh?
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, here we are. I'm hiding again. Let's get back in there. And here we are. I believe I have the correct build. Yes, I do. And
I have to also put up your stream live really quickly.
oh, that's right.
Yes. Okay. No, I got it on YouTube. It's all right.
Okay.
It seems to be quite synced.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
3114CC is not the correct one, actually. That's
What?
the one older. I
Moving
did just
back.
one absolute last
Oh, you
moment
sure
one.
did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
The
And
rug pull.
rug pull. And I'm gonna go ahead and stream my screen to you because it will be faster this way. Just so you know. So
all right, let's do that.
check it out on Disamacord. All right.
Got it.
Nice. Nice. Oh boy. I've seen a little bit. I've seen, so that the audience knows here. I've seen a little bit because I sound like a petulant child. I'm like, I've seen a little bit. I've seen a little bit. I saw a little bit on Saturday, but you've made changes since then. I didn't have any time to QA yesterday, so there's even kind of more stuff that I haven't seen yet either. I'm really excited to see this.
I think it's quite transformed. Not everything's perfect, but it's quite transformed. It's not.
Yeah.
It does not look at all like the game that it does in the demo, because after I think all that playing through,
yeah,
we had exactly what had to go.
Yeah.
And most of Marshall's suggestions got reinforced, and then I did my own je ne sais quoi on that.
All right, let's check out that. Let's check
that
out
seems
that
like
je
the
ne sais
correct
quoi.
one.
Should we jump into a 3-man?
I would do the throw,
Just to
just
destroy
so
them.
that we can see it fail. Yeah, because one thing, I will immediately say
Mm-hmm.
some stuff after this rolls out, or
Mm-hmm.
while this rolls out. Um, Quite a lot of the behavior that was associated with making teams smaller was broken in all these kinds of weird ways. It was
Okay.
impacting cross-team hostility. It was impacting how people get pulled into events. People were
Well,
just like randomly disappearing. And I was like, I know what's going on, but it's just impossible to figure out what's happening. And it was um, just some unrelated hostility rules
yeah.
combined with how we cheat sometimes. That's what you get for cheating. You get bugs. Never cheat. Everything has to be real.
Everything has to be real. The
Anyway.
game has told us this as much. All right. I should just restart just because there's gonna be funny stuff happening right now. Oh, there's funny stuff that happened. Just I did funny stuff. Okay. We get through it. All right. So,
Okay. Yes.
all right. First change that I noticed already. We have we have vision around
Yes.
the characters.
Are we gonna keep that or not? I don't want to debate it right now. But
No,
it
we
does
won't.
kind of look cool when people phase in and out like that, though.
Looks
It
kind.
doesn't have to be like that during the daytime, but at night it's really freaky because you're like, oh
Yeah.
shit, there's guys around. Or you're just hearing like people, sounds of people beating each other up, and you're like, no, let me go through.
That is especially scary.
I think it works. Yeah, anyway,
The bouncing
we'll see.
radio is also. I
Yes.
I love this little thing. I love
Baofeng sponsor this man.
it. No one knows about Fang.
Is it is a
That is it.
it's a
Yeah.
household name. It's a household name.
Absolutely. Should we start the tutorial?
I would say so. Let's go through it.
All right, let's
You can
do it.
skip it, of course. Another thing that you might want to notice is the pips on top of the guys we have over
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'll see that coming into play a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
All right. So here we click on the location and hit send
so I
now.
made that into a little drawer so you can like open and close it by
Mm-hmm.
clicking the opposite side. We'll tweak around with it a little bit.
And I saw something there as well, which is the movement, right? That it's indicated.
Yeah.
We'll see more of that later. But for
Yes, we'll
now,
talk about it.
let's get into a fight.
So one thing, stop here.
Mm-hmm.
You can immediately see that
Mm-hmm.
these guys are the ones that belong to your story that you're playing out right now. That
Mm.
was not clear before, and as the streets got busier with the changes that we made, and there's
Yeah.
fights going on around and whatnot, there's a real sense of chaos, but it's not informative chaos in that you don't know like who am I dealing with, who is involved, who is a potential threat,
Yeah.
and how do I perceive them immediately? Because there's like 7 other guys, or I don't know, 1, 3, 4, 5, 5 other guys, just like
Mm-hmm.
completely unrelated. 6, yeah, it's hard to count, right? It's just like absolute kerfuffle over here. But
Mm-hmm.
you want to immediately always be driving the player's attention to what they're supposed to be looking at. Now you have all these 4 pips. You can see that these guys are looking at each other. There's some action going around.
Yeah.
And when he
Yeah.
says, "Oh shit," you're like, "Yellow pips. Those are the guys that I'm freaked out about right now."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's perfect. All right. And let's say we're doing our usual. Someone also commented they're like, oh, I didn't think about pausing to look at the game. I love that. I love that this is a part of the experience where you zoom into this moment and you say, oh God, right? I'm in combat. I'm on the street corner. I need to quickly assess who's around and what is the threat level. And threat assessment becomes such a key part of the game. And we're going to choose to get them. And they turn red, so we know that we're fighting these guys. That's great.
Yes.
These guys are stealing my stuff. Hey,
I was thinking about that as well. Like, do we add a
bastards.
cooldown or something for like a claim or something on the items? I think
Yeah.
that would be pretty good to give a claim, like a timed claim for
Mhm.
the guy who got the guy.
I don't know.
or something.
I kind of like that these
It's really
headlamps
funny
exist.
because you're just like people are scuttling around like, yeah,
Yeah.
Logi,
Yeah.
I got
I like the
medicine.
idea that they're just waiting around to just
Sure.
pick up whatever hits the ground
Yes.
first.
You can do that as well. That's another thing. Like other fights are going around, and just by waiting at a street, you can kind of get quite loaded right now, which I'm not sure
Yeah.
is good design.
Yeah.
That's why we have to be looking out for it.
Okay.
Oh, it's
Location's
close right
close.
now. That's been an issue that I encountered recently. The
Mm-hmm.
warehouse didn't open. I'm really not
Mm.
sure what happened. Hmm.
The movement is great. I love having the having the movement like this, so we see where we're going,
Yes, that helped so
even when we
much.
pause. It's
I
great.
really didn't, I really underestimated this effect, but like seeing where you're going,
Yeah.
and be very clearly communicated about it makes like the walking over there feel a lot more substantial.
Hmm.
It feels a lot more connected. I really like the how that turned out.
And we just hit a disturbance as well. So what we're doing right now is I'm just walking through the streets, right? I'm getting a sense of what's around me at the moment, and by walking around, I bump into certain activities that are kind of like a random encounter, and there's different ways to proceed through those. And I managed to kind of calm things down between a street fight that was about to break down, a breakout, excuse me. And because of that, I can get some reputation or potentially get some money, things like that. Yeah, this is really cool. A ton of guys here, and
So many people around.
so many people.
Absolutely. Is that the
Oh,
Pride?
yeah, yeah. It's Pride Street. We've got everybody here. All right, here's another one. Right, we've got something running up. Uh, I'm gonna toot my own horn here a little bit, and I'm gonna say I love this one because I love that there is nothing except for there's footsteps heading your way. What do you do? Right? And
That's
we'll
how it
choose to
feels
stay
like as
cool.
well right now. That's another thing with I think
Mm-hmm.
the low field of vision at night. It
Mm-hmm.
does feel so much more intense. It really feels like it.
Okay, good. It's only two. I don't think we're making it this one. Nope.
No.
Too
Oh
bad.
my god. Oh
That's
my
pretty tough.
god. You got whacked.
I
Well,
did.
now I get carry your ass over to the next floor. Um, yeah, doesn't look good for you, buddy. What are you gonna do?
So, anything else about the UI that we want to talk about? I mean, we've moved
Oh,
things
well,
like this up here
yes.
so that we do have our leads, but they are kind of um, in their dedicated button. Same thing with
Yeah.
the reputation and using an icon rather than text, which uh,
Well, we'll take a look at how those are gonna really work out. What
mm-hmm,
icons really communicate the concepts that we're trying to express. That's one
mm-hmm,
thing. What does reputation look like?
mm-hmm.
If you cannot express it with an icon, should you use text? Interesting
Right,
question.
right.
Um, Tough to think about all these, of course, but we do.
And
Um,
relying on
I mean, the major thing
skeuomorphism.
that changed, I think,
Mm-hmm.
since the demo itself as well, is like we're now really team focused. We have actually integrated that quite a bit better.
Yeah.
There's an active team that you have chosen, and they are at a particular location, and you can merge and split them apart into different teams, etc. That is much tighter.
Mm-hmm.
And the focus is always on the team as well. So Marshall just split it up into two groups. So now you look at the map and it's pretty immediately obvious, I think, like, hey, these are the teams that we have and we're splitting them apart this way, etc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in an
Visually it became a lot clearer where your guys are, which was something that we were really struggling with.
yeah, that's
That's
true.
definitely a big one.
And now we've got more interactions as well. More of these that are happening in the scene that makes it so that
Yeah.
players have some kind of interactions or they need to be engaged somehow. So that you just don't, you can move around, right? You just go everywhere you want to, but you're going to be constantly stopped up as you have to interact with the scene in order to proceed,
Yeah.
which I think is the right feeling to have.
We don't want you going from one end of the town without the other to the other end with no disturbances. This is the Warriors thing, right? If for
Yeah.
you to go from Brookhelm to Biz should
Yeah.
be it should feel like a battle. It
Yeah.
should feel really troubled, and you should feel that trouble such that when we think of alternative modes of transport, either through the sewers or overground,
Yeah.
um, you
Ooh, which
will
we
you will
might.
consider you will consider those. That's the
Yeah.
kind of environment that we want to create. You're like, oh, I have to carry this very important thing through the city at night.
Hmm.
Well, better come up with either your own security or sneak your way out. It should really feel real and
Yeah.
hard.
So I think this is a good sense of like what has changed so far, and I have to agree with you. It is really smart. It's really smooth the way that we're seeing it
How's it
go.
feel?
I like it. I like it a
Like
lot. I
like
like being
I think compared to a normal playthrough for the previous like in between version, like this one
yeah.
feels like you are finding your way a lot easier.
Hmm.
I haven't seen you really struggle with anything where you start
No.
swearing. So that's
Yeah.
good. That's good, I think.
Don't
What
tell people what's in my QA videos. Just it's an hour long profanity. Also, did you?
can you squid? Yeah. So another thing is like when you focus
Hmm.
on here,
Yeah.
the icons on the left part are sort of faded, so you have a
Hmm.
just a more slight look on what's
Hmm.
around you, so you never really have a lack of vision outside. It's kind of always nagging on you. You
Yeah.
can see people crossing by over there, other crews that might be following around.
Hmm.
So that's nice, I think. But it's not obtrusive either, which was something that we were trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
Make it clear really what you're supposed to be looking at on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. And utilize icons more to like save real estate for what matters, which is what's going on the screen. One thing that I really
Basically.
like and that I that we've talked about before is that the idea in the world itself, what's happening when you are looking at the team view is that you are listening to the radio from that team, right? And that team is describing the scene to you. And so you are dedicating additional attention to that. And while the rest of the world still goes on, you are in one way or another looking really closely. This kind of backs you out. You're not looking that closely anymore. You're not looking with that level of intent. Absolutely. So now we've looked at it a little bit, right? And I think we've taken lessons from um, from the from the playthroughs that we've had, from feedback and things like that. Do we talk a little bit about where we see development going? And by that I mean, let's talk about kind of the pie in the sky features, or the things that we think this game needs in order to be ready for release.
Yeah. Well,
So there's some like
one
back
major
end
thing
stuff,
is,
right?
yeah. So one major thing that we are going through right now is the UI and UX. That's the most obvious one because it's also quite easy to go through. I would say
Mm-hmm.
after doing all the playtesting, it was pretty clear to us which directions we should be going around that, and what's on the horizon and whatnot.
I'm gonna try a
So
new one, by the way.
that was. Hmm?
I'm gonna jump into a 3-man.
That's okay.
All right.
That makes it easier.
So tell
Um,
me. Yeah.
this was sort of really like figuring out what's not necessary, cleaning it up, destroying all the systems that we know that we don't need or we don't think we care about, and trying to just bring it down into something a bit more essential again. Because as we were going through that whole demo process, it just sort of like started bubbling up, and we were like, we want all these things in here. Let's try to build it, and now we get to sort of shed it and get back to a new exoskeleton essentially. So that's the first part. So we tore a lot of things down, and now we're sort of rebuilding them in a way that feels a lot more fluid to play, a lot clearer and less oppressive visually in terms of information density.
Mm-hmm.
That's one major thing. The other is that the teams, we want it to be more teams focused. We want to make sure that you're operating as individual squads and all the other groups are also operating in that same way as well.
Right.
So you feel like there's some kind of levelness over there, right? This is sort of really the base work that we have to continue getting around to. It's in progress. I think it's again going quite well, but it's continuous improvement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And if you're
after we're done
thinking,
with, go ahead.
no, if you're thinking like in the future, right? Like we've got the interactions not solved, right? There's no such thing as solving the interactions, but at least in such a way that we think they're very clear. What are some of the
Yeah,
things that we were like, oh wow, we really want to include this or have these kinds of things in as well? So, for
I mean,
example, right,
mhm,
like the support slot with an
yeah,
ambush, right? Maybe we can talk about what that means as we're actually
yeah.
in an encounter right now. We have a support slot here.
What we want to do is that when you are going around the city and doing these things, it never feels so one-on-one, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not really putting you into these, ideally, not into these super carefully constructed dialogue scenes between like two groups type of situations, but we want to bring a bit more life to these and a bit more chaos, right? A bit more spread out, a bit more opportunity. And a big way of doing that, of course, is just making more people participate in the story. So, for the various disturbances that are happening in the city or the different stories that we're going to build further down the road, we
Mm-hmm.
want to have situations where you could be walking down the street, and even if it doesn't materially concern you per se to be involved in somebody else's business, you might be recruited to join in, right? To either
Yeah.
find out what's going on, learn something that you didn't know about, or you are coming in support of somebody else that is in trouble and you have a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
For you to be able to exercise all of these, the events have to be events simply have to involve more than two parties, right? That's a big
Mm-hmm.
thing. But although we had this system built in to have multiple parties joining an event, it's not, of course, so simple as doing this at the engine level. A lot of story writing has to come in to actually figure out what will happen in these scenarios where more than two people are involved, or
Yeah.
four groups are involved. It just starts blowing up immediately. So we're trying to sort of find out, what we can do with three groups in these kinds of situations. Here, for example, there's two involved parties. You're coming in. There's somebody else that's standing next to you. They can be involved with the story in the ways that we script them to. Um, we had this, for example, from an earlier design of the dice game, where you go around on the streets and there's these guys that are playing dice,
Yeah.
and there's a way for you to, there's like two groups playing dice, and then you can come in as a third, and then you can do some things to either push somebody out of the game or attack a certain party. And based on the relationships of those two that, you are not really privy to because there's information asymmetry over there, they might gang up on you instead, spoiling your plans, etc. So the three-way interactions all of a sudden become a lot more complex and exciting, and we want to
Yeah.
keep writing more of these kinds of situations to see how we can make even the small, tiny, mundane, and the Pokemon battles
Mm-hmm.
like a bit more lively and interesting, right? That's a big part of direction that we want to go for.
Yeah. To make it to
Life in the
make it
city.
to make it more real or like more clear for you know in
Yeah.
game terms, for example, one of the things is uh in this instance here, right? I am interacting with, there's a body on the ground and I could either give chase or I could investigate the body in order to take something. It's possible to have another faction step in and also make choices in that moment, and that those choices can now interrupt or interact with each other, right? That's what we're talking
The
about
body
here.
didn't remain dead, by the way. I was
Oh,
just
did you get
kidding
up?
in the background. Yeah, it was like there's a body, and then it just phased into the camera, and then just stood straight up. It's like boss said, it's all gonna be fine by Monday.
He's cured. He's gonna be fine by Monday.
Uh,
So we have a question here
that
from
fight is
Jaden or
not
something,
working.
and I think this is a really cool question as well, which is, how is the end game for this game? Is it more run based, or are updates going to keep the end game alive? And I think we can
Yeah,
talk about that, right? I think
yeah.
that's
I can start sort of building the scaffolding, and maybe you can take it on further from there.
sure, hit it.
Right? We talked about this briefly before, I think, but the earlier discussions that I was having with Marshall was sort of figuring out, okay, if we have this crazy game engine where everything is happening all the time simultaneously in the same way for everybody, what stories can you do in that, right? What kinds of stories that you wouldn't be able to tell in more of a linear game fashion that you can tell in here? And one part of is, of course, you can try to be a full sandbox story generator type situation in the way that RimWorld mostly is, especially in the base game.
Mm-hmm.
or Kenshi or Dwarf Fortress, right? Like all of those can generate amazing stories, but they don't really guide you at all. So one thing that we wanted to think a little bit about, also with Marshall's tabletop RPG background, is how can we construct a really good narrative that's not just, purely randomly generated, like, it's procedurally generated. It just feels kind of awkward to be even emotionally associated with somebody that's so random.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to create some better foundation for, first of all, the setting and keep it simple and succinct. The city itself, which shouldn't be, again, just randomly generated abstract city, it should feel lived in.
Mm-hmm.
The characters that act in it and the stories that are, present in it belong to it. Cause and effect should be clear and, coherent when you think about it. And that just requires, designing a good solid baseline for all the components. We have written a lot of backstories. Um, and then we had a sort of a repeat part of that discussion where I was thinking like, okay, we have these stories wired up. We have these sort of end games that we expect players to get into, like some kind of goalpost event that, based on how you play and you meet certain conditions, when the game ends after a certain amount of time, like a timer ends, you are, challenged for that win condition, and if you manage to hit the win condition, you win a particular outcome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's 1, 2, 20, doesn't quite matter.
Mm-hmm.
But it still felt like there was a bit of a gap between like where you start off from and where you end, in that it expands your range of possibilities so much and might feel a bit less guided or less interested in you as a player. So then I was thinking what could be a midway is we can just make big things happen
Mm-hmm.
to the world and think about how all of these characters and factions and regions in the city might react to this thing happening. So these are very large cases like um, the district police for Milton Financial wants to barricade the entire district off from the rest of the city.
Yeah.
That's a big event. And that is something that we don't really have to script too much for, right? We can just change the behavior of the police such
Mm-hmm.
that they patrol the edges of the border and they encounter whoever they encounter and tell them you cannot enter, right? We can do this and it will completely change the way that every other gang and every other region in the city is able to react to the situation. It is that the police will now control the flow of goods going in and out, right? So one plot device, that another event that we can do is make the financial district start buying out the stocks of all supermarkets prior to this lockdown, right? So that they can fortress in themselves into that region. How successful is that going to be, for example, from the police's standpoint? We want to make sure that the players can actually interfere with the police's capability to blockade the district, either by pure sheer willpower or by their political allegiances that is outside of the financial district, right? We want to just, again, I'm giving these as examples, not as like literal things that we're gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
but we want to operate in that kind of major decision, major outcomes,
Yeah.
because we have all of these connected systems around it. So the game is going to have two layers. One is what you're seeing Marshall play right now, interacting with the city, doing basic tasks and whatnot. The other layer is going to be the story layer, where we're going to have all of this web of events, major changes that are happening to the world that you as a player will have to find out how to react to. And that means that for an end game capability, we will have major goals that are spread around throughout the game. You will not be able to achieve every single one. You will not be able to go through every single story, and you will not be able to hit every single win condition because they're going to be simply very varied. They're going to be spread across the various systems that we've been designing. And it's never going to feel like I'm starting the game, and just like in Grand Theft Auto, I'm gonna, I'm CJ. I'm going through all this shit, and then in the end, I crash the fire truck back into Grove Street, and then, uh, yeah, like the last cop that betrayed me. Um, yeah, like when that's a line, right? Everything in between, I'm of course skipping over it. That's a big event, but there's no other way to play San Andreas. That's the only story, right? And the way that
Yeah.
you get to that ending is always gonna be the exact same line that you're crossing through. You have no choice. We want to have the big and the major, and the delightfully scripted, and we want to put it into a world where you are not forced to experience things in any particular way. You simply get to choose to experience certain things because you feel like that's the way that you want to interact with the city, and the city responds to you. That's the grand vision. That's what
Yeah.
I'm recruiting Marshall for. That's why we're building the engine for.
Yeah.
How well are we gonna do it? Let's find out. I have no idea. This is the first time that we're doing this. This is the first time anybody is doing it.
Yeah, I think that what I wanted to address, and first of all, again, thanks very much for the question, Jaden. I think you have a couple follow-ups, and I'll get to it in a second. But I wanted to answer the question really quickly. Is it that there's more end game, or is it it's run based? And I would say it is run based. Absolutely,
Yeah,
right? You are
yeah.
running through. I think in our event calendar we have about a month. Okay, and in that month, certain things are likely to happen, not guaranteed, likely to happen, and that the whether or not they do happen depends on certain prerequisites which the player can affect. And perhaps the player doesn't affect, right? But your level of interaction, your push on the world will can shape it in certain ways, shape certain events from happening or from not happening, and that those lead to different outcomes. Something that Evan mentioned to me earlier on was Fear and Loathing, which is a game that I am too scared to play, but deep dove into the Wikipedia or the wiki for it and learned everything that I could. Which what I like about Fear and Loathing a lot is that there are pretty obscure things you would need to do, right, in order to achieve certain outcomes. And I like that. I think that's cool. I think there's a certain element of when things are hidden from the player, and that truly like deep dives can that can uncover it. I think there's something really interesting about that, really exciting about that. So I think that also is a big part of what I'm intending when it comes to the way the game is written. You need
And in terms
you need
of
to interact
binding
in
these
different
together, by the
levels.
way,
Yeah.
sorry, finish it up.
You're good. I wanna make sure that we address the rest of Jin's question. So I'm gonna read it out loud, which is
Okay, okay, go ahead.
um, so Jaden's mentioning that they play a bunch of Kenshi and loves the autonomy of that, and that they are the narrator of their own story. Absolutely, I feel like that's a big part of it as well, right? I don't think that the game at any point says you win, right, or success, but it's that you are running through the same month and you get to affect things and find the different endings that are possible from that. Um, and then as a player, having made your own story instead of a handful of pre-made endings that you could hit the right mark seems a little redundant. I would agree as well, right? It's not as if we hit the end of the game and then all of a sudden you say, "Aha, you've achieved. This is the ending you've achieved. Congratulations!" Right? It's more about what did you do during the course of that month to achieve certain events that that have been accomplished, and then what does that mean for the city at the end of it?
I
Um,
mean, one
yeah,
one
go
thing
ahead.
that I want to add on top of this really quickly is that we also want to forego the idea of player centricity a little bit as well. We don't
Absolutely.
want it to we don't want every single story to revolve around your presence. In fact, we want things to revolve without your presence, such that your presence makes a outcome that matters, right? An outcome that actually makes you think, oh, this happened because I did this, like, in the second week. That
Mm-hmm.
fucked those guys over, and they weren't able to do the other thing, which means that the ship landed safely in the harbor, type
Mm-hmm.
type thing, right? We want really a strong sense of causality in the actions that you take, but not just your actions. You assisting other factions to accomplish their goals, coming back to you later down to help you accomplish your goals
Mm-hmm.
or stop you from doing so. We want to have those things built
Mm-hmm.
in by means of having these large events, but but we want to keep the possibilities as large as possible, basically. And again, really not make it about the player, but about what happens also without them.
Yeah. What's the goal? What's the goal in the game? The goal is to shape the city how you want to see it shaped, to help the factions that you want to help, to harm the factions that you want to harm. We intend to have different backgrounds that make it easier or more difficult to do one or the other, right? That have forces within the background that pushes you in a certain direction. It also explains why certain things have happened in
To be a
previous
bit more
playthroughs.
concrete,
Yeah,
we talked about, the larger meta goals of what could those be, which is like,
yeah,
hey, I want, the world collapsed. My worldview is that for whatever we're going to rebuild next, we should be more communistic,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then if you want to accomplish the goals to make the city more communistic, to prevent, massive stockpiling of goods into the richer districts of the city and then have it be barricaded by the private police, if you want to stop doing that, we want to let you be able to do that, right? That's what Marshall means by shaping the city. And
Mm-hmm.
preventing doing that should grant you, for example, a lot of soft power because people recognize what's happening, right? And if you are the group that can assist either, say, the existing Communist Party, or sabotage the people trying to stockpile goods, or gather enough strength and willpower from all the gangs to stop the police from barricading it down.
Mm-hmm.
Just this one specific example, we want to give you many kinds of ways to approach that.
Yeah.
And the way that these major events are resolved are going to just, implicitly have effects on everything that's going to come afterwards as well. All the other major things that are going to come after that, the way that the city is going to develop, the way that the political structure, the way that the economic structure, the way that the social structure is going to develop. The more we simulate these things and the more we make them connect with each other and bring the stories in,
Mm-hmm.
I think the wilder we can get with what is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the end game. We've had people ask us in comments and things like that, like, you know, what's the goal, right? What's the goal of the game? And I think that the goal of the game is at first to experience the city and see what's happening, and then in the course of a few playthroughs, understand it to the level that you are able to say, on this day, this person's meeting with this person, therefore, I'm going to intercept and stop this meeting. Or that I know that this faction is likely to act in this certain way. If I push them this way, then they will go against such and such faction. And to see the world as systems which you can push and pull through the power of, through manpower, through reputation, through goods and services, through all of these levers that you get to flip. That's the goal of the game. And then it's not the first time that you achieve all of your goals. Might not be the fifth time. But in time, when you understand it enough, you will be able to push it and to make the world yours. Right? It's about
A,
control
a,
in that sense.
a big decision we're making, also contrasting to RimWorld, Kanashi, Dwarf Fortress, etc., is that they're trying to be as expansive and infinite as possible, whereas we're
It's
trying
true.
to bring a lot of spatial constraint, and via that spatial constraint we get a lot of fidelity to look at things that those games do not look like. That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
We're not trying to necessarily be revolutionary about it, but I think RimWorld would simply be a lot more interesting game if it was a bit more space constrained, right?
Yeah.
It would have to make a lot of different design decisions. We're constraining the scale to, a single large metropolitan city,
Yep.
and we're cutting it off with our little plot devices, and we're taking a look at what happens inside. And that gives us the capability to use tools that those other super expansive infinite games cannot, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
playing the same city all the time, same factions all the time,
Mm-hmm.
same major events that are predestined to happen, with everything else fuzzy in between. But those little walls that we put into things to make things balance against each other, we hope will create stories that are not possible in those other very expansive games.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Where we're walking the fine line there, and I think Jaden's kind of mentioning this as well. That, for example, that RimWorld is expansive, and yeah, we're making the active choice that it isn't an endless um, playground, right? I think it's there's a storyline that you get to kind of uncover. I want to be respectful of your time, Evram.
That's
Uh,
true. It's been an hour. I do gotta
yeah,
go.
I can stay on for a little bit after you go, but I wanted to talk about something pretty important together, right? Which
Oh, let's
is,
go.
so let's talk about the state of the demo at the moment and what our immediate plans are.
Yes. So for the demo, sorry to inform you guys, but we're gonna take it down. So grab it while
Yeah.
supplies last. The reason why we're taking it down is that we're going on another crunch, so to say. It's not a crunch. We're not crunch guys. But we are going into another phase where we're gonna take all the lessons that we learned from the demo. We're gonna sit down and mellow on them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna marinate some new ideas. And as I said, UI, UX, engine, those things. Yeah, of course we're gonna do those. But we want to take a look at how engaging the world is, how interactive it is, how easy it is to start playing, and how clearly the game communicates things to you. Just really flesh out that experience, and also try to attempt for the next phase all the things that we want to do that we're talking about with the stories. We want to have really strong storylines. We want to have everything wired up properly. We want your actions to feel like they have consequences. We want to build the foundation of what our end game is, because our development end game also is this grandiose idea of oh, everything is connected and stories are going to be crazy. Yes, of course, but proof is in the pudding. Next phase is going to be about bringing that experience more in the content and the feel and immersion levels.
Yeah.
And that's going to hopefully be a product out for you guys at around the end of July, beginning of August.
Yep.
In the meantime, we're taking out the demo because it's hard for us to do customer support for all the bugs that people are going to find out.
Yeah.
If you want to play it, just try it out already. It's not gonna hurt. It's gonna be gone for like a month or something, and then it'll be back and it'll be better and much juicier. Then then phases of development after that. We already talked about it, but
Yeah.
that's enough for now, I think.
No, it's great. And that's exactly right. So later this week, we will close it. Again, thank you to everybody who's provided feedback and thoughts. But I think for anyone watching this stream now, you can see like the game has already, in the course of a weekend, changed so much from what the demo version is showing that to work on, to maintain that demo version would just be slowing us down in some way. And we want to make sure that we do make our planned deadline in Q3 of 2026. So cool. Evram, if you have to drop, no worries. Go ahead. I'm gonna stick around a little bit. And
We wanted to talk
oh
about.
yeah,
Do we have anything else to talk about, like design decisions or something about the UI, whatever?
well,
I mean,
there's
if you have like
always.
one last thing to run for another 10 minutes, that's fine. I just had another
Oh,
glass of water.
no, maybe just one more thing, which is like, we do intend to have another playable demo, right?
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
our deadline for that, we're thinking
End of
end
July,
of July.
beginning August, something like that.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
but will be much better. We're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna keep pushing updates for you guys. We're devlogging very hard. We're gonna be
Mhm.
continuing streams as well. It might just mean that you're not able to play on the spot, basically, right?
Mhm. Yeah, that's right. And thanks, Jaden. Jaden or something mentions, you guys do what you have to make this game come alive. Take as much time as you guys need. Thanks so much, Jaden. It's really kind of you.
Jaden, number one fan.
to be
Korean
honest,
hearts for you.
to be
Korean
honest with
hearts for
you,
you.
to be honest though, we have to be. It's. I think that we're setting this deadline not just because maybe this. Hold on, wait a minute. I got it's another dev corner. Dev idea corner or recommendations corner is like we're setting the deadline not just because we want to get the game out, but because we want to set the deadline for ourselves to say, whatever the state it is in, right? We need to make sure that we cut off any of additional fat to make sure that we put down a product in a reasonable amount of time that people can pick up, play, enjoy for hours. And that the idea is not necessarily to lose ourselves in the endless development, right? But to say
Yeah.
definitively, here it is. This is the product.
Yeah.
And if it needs updates after that fact for, a little bit more content, or if it needs a little bit more fixes and things like that, or bugs, of course we would continue to support the game. But to at least have, here's 1.0, and it's done in a pretty reasonable amount of time, considering I think I only joined as of maybe late February, March, and Evrim's been working on
Something
it.
like that.
Yeah, you've been working on it even not that much more,
Yeah.
not much longer than that. So I think it's a
I mean, what?
very important focus. Have a focused
Yeah.
idea, put down a product,
Yeah.
intend on a product, and see what happens from there.
From here on out, I think really we're trying to capitalize a lot more on the story aspects of things. We want to keep improving the game, but we're not going to really add any more crazy features or
Yeah.
new mechanics or a bunch of other things to do. And a lot of the things that we are going to do with the game are fundamentally here. We want to focus a lot more on content.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make all of these things feel connected. We're going to execute. It sounds quite abstract when I feel like when I'm hearing Marshall talk about it, because he's just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, these things are going to happen, da da da. We have a whole ass design document detailing every single thing that's going to go in the story, how things are going to play out.
Yeah,
These
that's
these
true.
are all charted. These are all
Yeah.
charted out proper. So the goal is really to, okay, engine is ready. We got the core primitives over here. Things are interacting with them in the way that we want them to. Bellissimo. Next, we're gonna put the stories in. We're gonna put the vibes in.
Yeah.
We're gonna put the juice in. We're gonna put the roller coaster, the amusement park, the feeling of like I'm sitting down
Yeah.
and I'm in for a ride. That's what's gonna go in. And we have been working simultaneously alongside with all the things that are going on in the engine on all of those things as well. We haven't been
Mm-hmm.
focusing solely on making the game. A lot of work is going on in the background for things that are not yet in the game, but they're very much designed, they're very much fleshed out and very well thought after. So, um, for the demo that's going to come up at the end of July, I think the main goal is really trying our proof of concepts, and then from there on out, we're going to spend probably another month or two. I don't want to really promise a release date to anybody, but we're trying to be out by like September, October or something, I would say.
Yep.
And from here until there, uh, it's all juice and content.
Yeah.
Engine is pretty cooked at the level that we want it to. Another thing that we want to do for the next demo, by the way, is scaling. People have asked questions about, how big can our crew go? Can I really change the city with just 3 guys? No, I get it. That's not possible, of course, but we got to make sure that the engine is ready for that. I think it largely is.
Yeah.
We got to make sure that the UI and UX is ready for that, for commanding a lot of people. We're going to encounter new challenges in terms of like, the difference between controlling 6 guys versus 24 guys is going
Mm-hmm.
to be quite large. Your capacities are going to be quite larger as well. Your capacity to coordinate to accomplish your goals is going to be very different. So, will we need new goals? We will need bigger goals. How will we have to adjust the stories and the various events to fit with that scale? Yeah, those are going to be big focuses, and I don't expect that they're going to be easy. That's what we're going to be working on,
Mm-hmm.
and keep you guys along for the ride. That's it. Marshall, I'm gonna head out.
No
Sorry for
problem.
rambling.
No, you're good, pal. Don't worry
I'm
about
not sorry for rambling. I lied.
it. It's,
uh,
oh, you bastard! Not again! He keeps doing this to me. Uh,
how do you have a crew of 7 guys? It's not supposed to happen. Also,
what do you
who
mean?
has all that garbage in his inventory? There's this guy with like 50 weapons in his pocket.
There's a lot
What
of.
is that?
I
Is that
love
a
him.
bug?
I love
Is
him.
that a bug? That can't
No,
happen.
yeah, it is a
That's
bug, but I
crazy.
love him. I love my my boy who has attached 10 hatchets and 5 crowbars to his back.
It's just like on his belt. It's like it says extra fat.
Uh,
Tool bag. Oh my god, stupid ass game. All right. Okay, take care. Talk to you
Zero,
later. Bye
pal.
bye.
All right. Well, that's Evrim. He is the hatchet man. It's crazy. I can't. He's he's the hatchet man. He's the everything man. He's crazy. Is that Lech Zukov? Yeah, man. That's too much. Well, I think I really hope that anybody, for all of you that are watching, I really hope that you, um, I don't know, if you've provided feedback to us before, I hope that you, uh, I hope that you know that we take it, we really appreciate all of the feedback, and that we've taken it so seriously. I mean, we were working over the past week getting feedback like this, and already we developed a new UI in order to solve so many of the problems that we saw that people were having. And so that's a big thing for us, is to make sure that we are communicating our intention, to communicating the way to interact with this game, so that everybody who's interested in this genre can really enjoy it. Oh man. Well, other than that, I think I'm just gonna walk around the city a little bit more. If anybody has any questions on Twitch or on YouTube, feel free to ask. Um, Otherwise, I'm gonna maybe mention a little bit about the content. The question of like, what is it that we are doing in this game? We are The intention is to have a world that you can run through multiple times. It does have, you know, an end point. It does have a um, point at which the game is over, and there's certain story events that happen that make that important. And I don't want to talk too much about those. Evrim's right. We do have like all the design documents for this. They're real. Um, you know, we have about a month of content planned out, but we're going to be, the point of the game is for you to experience that month and to make plans, to learn things that are happening, to improve your understanding of the world, to interact with it and push it, and at some point become really quite competent in how the city of New Sterling works, so that you can really reshape it. Certain characters might be under threat, their lives might be under threat. You might not know that the first couple of times you play, but after that, you're able to understand that it's happening or that it's coming and mount the response to it, approach it ahead of time, and solve the problem, save them. I think there's something about that speaks to some of the sci-fi movies that we're inspired by, like 12 Monkeys. That's a big, inspiration. It's a big part of it as well. Other than that, definitely looking to have the engine, the UI, the program itself locked up and complete by the end of middle of the July, and then leaving the rest of the time for the content. Yeah, I definitely am not slacking on the content. It's good that I kind of put a lot of that work ahead of time, so that now that we're QAing extensively and working on the game, and putting things in the game and doing social media, I'm not completely kind of lost with the storyline. So really happy that we have that sitting around there. Oh, ambushed. Just run for it. Yeah, I don't think we could take 3 of them, even though they're half health. We do have hatchets, which are much better weapons. Oof, we did not run. We're gonna lose all that. Alright. How far will the story be expanded? Well, let me think about that. Something. So at the moment, I believe that the game will run, as in kind of the scripted content will run about a month. And it's complicated to say scripted content because it's not scripted in the sense of, not everything's scripted in the sense of like, here's what happens and then this is what happens. It's more about, it's more like a choose your own adventure book, I suppose, right? In the sense of like, certain events can happen, certain things can happen. That's all that might be planned ahead of time, but that's the way that you get there is different. Oh my gosh, we have just a huge fight. Lech has somehow found more hatchets to carry around. That's the hatchet mule. I love this man. I gotta get him home so I can have a pile of hatchets at home. That sounds great. But it's about, I would say, about a month for these kinds of things. That includes kind of news stories. That includes a lot of the writing goes into what happens if you don't do something or if you do something, right? So like the alternative paths in which things can happen, and the alternative outcomes that come from that. Some of them being really quite impactful on the city, having a huge effect, whether or not someone survives a certain encounter or something like that. But that all of this is modulated by the individual faction's abilities. So if a faction that would be, for example, trading in illegal goods, if you have beaten them up, if you knocked them back, then they're not going to be able to have the effect in the story that they would have had otherwise. So like I'm trying to walk this fine line. It's not a choose your own adventure. It's not like Fear and Loathing in the sense of there isn't just a single triggers that you can interact with that all of a sudden leads to a certain outcome. It's much more probabilistic. It's probabilistic. If this faction is able to reach this location, if they have the competence with this other faction, then they will have the string of events. Gosh, why is this so difficult for me to explain? I'm writing it. Jaden, I think it's right. I think it is a string of events in the sense of there is an events calendar I have written, and that there are events in that calendar that correspond to certain storylines. It's just that there are also all of the alternative events that could happen with that, right? It's like the alternative, the multiverse theory, right? Like that's kind of what's going on there. Yeah, I guess it is. It is a string of events across many different possibilities, and they interact with each other differently, right? To I'm being very coy about talking about it, but I should feel a little comfortable just to mention it because, come on, there's so much more that's going to change. But for example, there's a certain faction in the game that wants to establish a distribution center, right? The distribution center is a big deal. If they do it, everybody in the city or the citizens in the city will love them because they're distributing goods for free when the city isn't able to do that. If that distribution center is activated, is created, that means that the faction that created it has been buying enough goods from the producers, that they're able to supply their own distribution center. What would happen to all the stores in the city if a distribution center suddenly opened up? Where are they getting their goods? For those of you who like classic stories of like philanthropy and the failings of philanthropy and charity in some ways, like the Tom's Shoes story, right? The story is that they, for every shoe that you buy from that company, I should probably stop saying their name, from that company, then they would donate one to a family in need somewhere in the world. And what that actually turned out to be was that shoemakers in those parts of the world just couldn't compete with the free goods that are flying in. So the way that I think about the events in this game, the way that Everman and I think about the events in the game is much more similar to this, where it is, what are the knock-on effects, right? The distribution center, you didn't stop it from getting opened, or you helped it get opened. What happens to cities? What happens if you are protecting stores? Yeah, and your major income was from protecting stores. Well, you need those stores to sell things, and if they don't have things to sell, you're screwed because even as much as you beat them up, they cannot pay you. So you see, this is the way in which I want to think about the how the story of New Sterling plays out, and how the player interacts with the world. Thanks, Jaden. That's kind of you to say. Um, and I because a big thing is that Everman is you know, he's got a background in economics. I have a background in organizational psychology. The way that we imagine things is as systems, primarily, right? This was something that Everman and I had to talk about as well. It's like, no, 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 no. This isn't a story about individuals. This is a story about factions. This is a story about goods and resources going through a city. What happens, right? What happens when what happens when guns come into play? This was a comment that we got. What happens when guns come in? Right? Where are guns? Good question. Really good question. In the setting of New Sterling, you know, it's I've intentionally designed the city to not be American or European, but kind of a mishmash of both of them. I've lived in North America and in Europe, so I kind of just mash these two things together. I think it's very reminiscent of Manhattan here, for example, right? But then to have an old town like the Church Square, that's a very European thing that a lot of American cities don't have, except for on the East Coast. But so like these kinds of this world is intentionally mishmashed. One of the things that we take is that the police do not carry firearms, or at least they don't carry many of them. And so firearms are a big deal. Lethality is a big deal. Because I wanted to explore what happens if the player interacts with factions who have the ability to make guns, and then they do it. And they make guns. And now you have unleashed Pandora's box. Because now there's an item in the game that allows people to die. And there's not a way, there's no, we're not modeling in generation of population here. We're not, there's not, the births. There's a limited number of people in the city. And if you choose to go down the path to have guns be involved, to have lethal weapons be involved, oof. I mean, how long is it going to take before the city is depopulated if you're using that inappropriately? I mean, really, how long before a system like this, with a closed population, where people have the potential to actually die, how long until the city's empty? And is that an outcome you want? Could be. Right? Maybe you just kill every other faction. Maybe every other faction kills each other. But that's the systems level events interactions that I want to have in this game. And so that at the end of the playthrough, you say, "Oh, God, the distribution center, it opened, and I had all these stores I was protecting couldn't pay me anymore, so I had to attack the distribution center, and it was heavily guarded." And so this is where it goes back to the Rimworld or Dwarf Fortress. You make your own story. But there are certain possibilities within. There's lots of different ways to do all of these interactions. At least I would like there to be many different ways to do these interactions. For example, the distribution center that I was mentioning. It distributes goods. It distributes goods to you too. We have a system in the game which you deliver goods to people. If you spend your time just taking the goods from the distribution center and then bringing them to the store, then the store will sell them, and then you get the profit. So you don't even need to just destroy the store. You can think of another way around it. This is really at the core of my tabletop role-playing game days. My favorite thing about tabletop role-playing games is writing a scenario, putting it in front of my players, and then finding out their most batshit ideas about how to get around, whatever obstacle it is. you put a 10-foot ladder in front of a player, and you think, yeah, 10-foot ladder. What am I saying? You put a 10-foot fence in front of a player, right? And you're like, oh yeah, okay, they're gonna make the 11-foot ladder. They're gonna get over, and then they say, no, we have to cut through it, And in your head, you're like, no, there's an obvious answer. Just find a ladder that's tall enough. They're like, no, we can't find a ladder. We have to cut through it. And then they just go on their own side quest to cut through the ladder, or to cut through the fence. That's what I love about tabletop role playing games, and that's what I'm trying to have some amount of in this game, is to have enough systems where you can find a certain way around different things. To play information against other factions, to use where they find their resources and play it against them. These kinds of things. So yeah, that's why I struggle to call it events. That's why I struggle to call it, even to really call it storylines. There are possibilities. There are possibilities which can open up. All right. I hope I'm able to like find a path there to like give a succinct explanation of the game. I hope so. I don't know. Sorry, you can't do that. Yeah. Well, that's the plan. That is what is cooking. And that all of these options, you will be able to reshape the city of New Sterling. Truly reshape it. That's the idea. Okay. Let me double check if there's anything else I wanted to cover. One thing. We've had a lot of people come out to mention to us in comments and all over all sorts of different places that people have asked us, how can we support, Patreon, or art or music or something like that. And I want to thank everybody that reached out like that. It's really kind of you, but we're not looking for any support at the moment. We don't need the monetary support at the moment. We're looking to we're running, I guess, lean enough in the sense that we're able to make it to August and have our sales figures kind of speak for our or the sales figures to be our income, to be honest with you. We're not looking to set up kind of a Patreon or anything like that. Like I said before, we want to create a product and put it out there. Boom. Create the product, put it out there, and have that available. I would want to avoid the kind of continuous dev cycle beyond the support of the game. Of course, addressing bugs, right? Adding additional content to make sure that the experience is just how we want it. But I see games sometimes best when they're treated like movies, which is when they're put out with a very solid intention and vision in mind. So we're not taking any support at the moment. I do really appreciate all the thoughts on that. All right. I don't think there's anything else at the moment. Evrim and I are going to be really working to make sure that this UI becomes very functional, very smooth for even new players. We will look at other games to make sure that we're stealing the right interactions, so that it uses the right heuristics, so that players can really move through the game easily. But other than that, I think I'm going to close up the stream. I think we had a really cool discussion, and I'm really happy to be talking about this game about the future of this game, and putting the development forward. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We will have, I'm not sure, I think another stream next week. In the meantime, I will be putting out additional short form content. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Instagram, TikTok. I have a Tumblr now, which maybe Evram's right. I should be doing GIFs and Tumblr. And then, yeah, that's about it, actually. Follow on or subscribe on YouTube for more video updates. I intend to have stream clips, for example, for this one, as well as some videos about the world and story. And that's about it. So I'm going to call it there, and I'm going to thank you all very much again, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.